Hello and welcome back to the Innsmouth Case with me, Bardon. Right, so we are going to start with Town Square because what we want to do is we want to join the cult, the Church of Dagon, and then go be able to get into the actual church down at the Harbour and try and bluff our way with the guys who abducted us last time. So we'll see how that works out. Innsmouth Town Square, the beating heart of the city, a big attraction for local tourism. It is animated by groups of visitors who are chatting away in the sun. Not less animated are the lethargic locals who are lurching about the square. A rather creepy looking fountain is in the middle of the square. A gigantic fish-like stone statue stretches its claws towards the sky with water flowing out of its menacing jaw. The water sprays into the air, providing a refreshing breeze to the tourists sitting around the edge of the fountain. Looking at it closely now, it all rather looks like a giant, drooling fish monster. The square is surrounded by handsome old buildings, though the side streets reveal the true intimate crumbling facades, just far enough away that the average tourist doesn't notice them immediately. You also notice the mean grimaces of gargoyles sternly looking down onto the visitors from the corners of their buildings. You make a mental note to block out the Innsmouth architecture in future. At first glance you can see the town hall and a police station behind the fountain. There should be a few more public facilities nearby, but you don't notice anything right away. You decide to go to the fountain because that's where the guys are going to be. Pretty relaxed vibe here, so you decide to go over to the tourists. There's a lot of space on the edge of the fountain, which people use to sit down. They are stretching their legs, eating their packed lunches, or studying maps of the town. The perfect place to let go and relax. You sit down somewhere quiet. The trip over here has exposed you to enough weird people, and you can do without carbon-based life forms for a while. You sit down on the fountain edge, off to the side from the other visitors, and let your mind roam. How is it possible that a girl can simply vanish in a tiny place like this? If she's run away from home, where would she have found shelter? And where would she get her food from? Has she been kidnapped after all? And isn't it normally cute children that get kidnapped? Something brings you back to the real world. A rather shaggy-looking older man on crutches rattles a paper cup in front of your face. He smiles and reveals his rotten teeth. Let's give him some coins. The old man looks so worn down that it breaks your heart. You search for coins in your trouser pocket and find some coins. He smiles gratefully when you drop the money into his cup. The beggar looks around furtively and then leans over to whisper something in your ear. You should leave. Slightly dazed by the smell of alcohol and the man's breath, you lean back and watch him shuffle off. Did you hear that right? You should leave? The nerve of it. You're glad to see the back of this drunkard. Yeah, we don't know that he's trying to be nice to us. You look over to the dark alleyways across the square and you repeatedly notice shady figures with bloated faces who keep looking at you and the tourists. You start to feel uneasy again. Here in the middle of the square at the fountain, it's like you're all sitting ducks. The sun that was so warm in your face suddenly disappears and is replaced by a greyish silhouette. Without noticing them beforehand, two men have approached you. They smile nervously and appear to be presenting you with a book. Your insides clench up and your fingers dig into the stone of the fountain. You know this kind of smile. They are... let's just say mole people. We know they're religious fanatics, but let's say mole people. The pale skin, the crooked posture, the thinning hair. There's no doubt in your mind. Everyone has called you delusional. Your family, your lovers, even your closest friends and acquaintances. But in the end, you had been right all along. They really exist, and now not only in cheap science fiction novels. Mole people. You spread your arms. On behalf of all mankind, I am authorized to negotiate with you. Two men chuckle in delight. Wonderful. The blonde one starts to talk, while his partner hovers in the background and breathes heavily. He holds up a book. The green cover has a delicate golden arboresque pattern that reminds you of something. Do you have time to speak about Davon, our Lord and Saviour? He puts on his best salesman smile. I'm looking for this girl, you see. I'm looking for this girl. You pull out the Polaroid photo from your coat pocket and show it to them. Their polite demeanour immediately vanishes, and you think you can see weariness creep into their faces. Slowly they turn their heads towards each other and then nod, just as you weren't standing right in front of them. If you need help, you can always rely on the Church of Dagon. The man hands you a small white card, an address in the harbour engraved on it. You study the card and you can feel the textured surface beneath your thumb. Not bad. The two say their goodbyes. For two religious nutters, they seem to be very keen all of a sudden. Okay, so I think we just got to the stage where mistakenly we're going to set ourselves up to maybe get abducted at the church rather than later on. But we'll see. I don't think they'll be happy with us joining the church. Interesting. The Church of Dagon is the predominant religion in this otherwise godforsaken town. Exotic cult in a remote and secluded community. You're not quite sure what to make of it yet, but for now you consider the two to be harmless. Okay, enough time wasted. Where are you headed now? Let's go to the Church of Dagon in the harbour. Let's not waste any time. Innsmouth Harbour is signposted much better than the local hospital. You wonder if a hospital is even needed here. It's a half-hour walk. A mile-long carpet of cobblestones is now ahead of you. The traffic in Boston is more hectic, but at least they have heard of asphalt before. As you keep walking, there are fewer and fewer residential buildings along your path. In their stead, there are now warehouses that must be fish markets due to the smell. You can also hear the occasional metallic clanking from nearby workshops. People in grey raincoats are walking toward you. They're probably fishermen who have some errands to run. Now and again, in that split second when you pass one another, you catch a glimpse of the faces hidden under the hoods. Puffy eyes that look at you suspiciously. Although there are a few clouds in the sky, there's no chance of rain as far as you can tell. Why are they all wrapped up like that? You wonder if they have a sixth sense for approaching storms. The sound of the rhythmic blows of a hammer nearby tears you away from these thoughts. It would be interesting to watch the work in the shipyard, but little Tabitha is likely to be here to play. From a distance you can already see the masts of the boats, which rise up into the sky like a row of spears. You walk along a small street at the quay, with the harbour basin just behind it. Let's look around. The view of the harbour is splendid. Boats of all shapes and sizes are coming and going. Nets are being emptied out and fish seem to be endlessly splashing into huge freezer boxes. Local trades are being sealed with handshakes, and at the end of a wide headland, a huge lighthouse watches majestically over the bay. The ideal postcard motif if it weren't for the people. You only know fishermen from the movies, and you have to admit that you have certain prejudices. These include they have weather-beaten skin and the captains always have well-groomed beards. They are either strong, silent types or hard-drinking lads who sing filthy sea shanties. But these creatures in front of you are neither majestic nor leery. They move around more like tragic hunchbacks you'd expect to see in French cathedrals. A few yards to the right there's a fork in the road and a road sign pointing further north. Its inscription reads, Innsmouth Paradise Beach. In the far distance you see a building that looks like a church. Hang on, a church? On the coast? How eccentric. See, that doesn't... I think I mentioned it before as well, but we know there's a church here because that's where we're going. Like, I know it's a generic page and stuff, but still. You go, of course, to the church. The church is located on a hill overlooking the harbour. you're immediately drawn towards it. You stroll along the docks, towards the cliffs. You take in the pleasant sea breeze and the hustle and bustle on the ships. Your original mission pops into your mind. This place is so relaxing. It's just too easy to forget about that little girl. Out of the corner of your eye, you can see 3 fishermen whose boats have just moored. They're not working. In fact, they're not doing anything. They're just standing there staring at you. That feeling of serenity is slowly overtaken by anxiety. What are you looking at me for? What are you looking at me for? You shout across at them, giving them an aggressive look. You bet these little sea oafs have never before come across a tough city type such as yourself. One of the 3 still observes you with wild interest. The others are already looking at their nets. After a few yards, you turn around again. They're all gone. The crew must have disappeared below decks in their little boat. What a strange bunch. Suddenly it's utterly plausible to you that people in this town can disappear just like that. You're a little closer to the church building now, and you've relieved to find that there are a few dozen people outside its gates, and they're not the usual creepy Innsmouth kind. The group are gesticulating and discussing something in a very animated manner. Normal people. As you reach the courtyard, you're able to assess the situation a little better. 2 groups with about the same number of people are confronting one another, surrounded by a few more reserved onlookers. 2 shouty people who appear to be representatives of the 2 camps are facing each other. A bronze plaque is displayed above the gates to the entrance. Engraved on it, Esoteric Order of Dagon. Ignore the crowd and go into the church. Whatever their issue might be, they clearly don't concern you. The 2 parties are so engrossed in their discussion, they don't even take note of you. You stroll past them unnoticed. Why not? You're already here after all. Almost immediately, 2 grumpy-looking men, clothed like fishermen, stand in your way, preventing you from entering the church. They seem to have a competition going on to see who can give you the most sinister look. What now? I need to go in there. I need to go in there, you murmur, a little intimidated. I don't think so, scoffs the younger of the 2. Yeah, I don't think you need to go in there. This is only for the children of Dagon, the older one grunts. They look at you with a glint in their eye. Show them the business card that the Dagon's witnesses gave you. Now, this is, to me at least, interesting to see, is this business card that they gave us different to the one that we got before? Do they have, like, give this one to people who we think might actually be interested in joining the church, and give this one to people who we think could be maybe sacrifices for the church? I guess we'll see. You present to them the business card, and the Dagon's witnesses gave you. The other one rolls his clouded eyes. Ugh, those stiffs. Nevertheless, he moves aside. His younger counterpart does the same. Okay, so they let us in. Right, well, I'm going to leave that one there. There were a few. I think that's what we're going to find with this game now, is that a lot of these, it's going to be a lot of material we've seen before, but a few new snippets here and there. So I hope people don't mind that, because for me, it doesn't feel right. I know some people will just go, oh, what I'll do is I'll read this little bit and then I'll skip through everything, but that doesn't feel right to me. I like to be in the story and experiencing things, even if it's for a 3rd, 4th, 5th time. I don't mind that, so I hope those of you who are watching this don't mind it either. But that is the end of that one, so I hope you have enjoyed. Hope you're keeping safe out there, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button there on the right, or checking out some other videos here on the left, or perhaps you might even share with some friends.